And now, breaking news live on Fox 10.
Good morning, everyone. It's 9:53 on this Wednesday morning. Aging veterans aboard a rusty U.S. warship have proved they are anything but rusty. You're watching history in the making in downtown Mobile as the LST 325, a landing ship tank ship, is making its way up Mobile River toward the Cooper Riverside Park, headed toward the Alabama State Docks for a special ceremony that is set for 11 o'clock this morning. The crew of 29 aboard the LST 325 with an average age of about 72 years old. Again, all war veterans. They've been working on this project for months and months, dating all the way back into the summer months when they actually flew toward Greece and started working on this ship to bring her back to the United States. The LST 325, of course, a landing ship tank used extensively in World War II. It should actually beach itself, run right up to the shoreline, deploying tanks and troops, and was crucial in the Normandy invasion. Again, you're watching live pictures from our cameras that are placed throughout downtown Mobile as we are watching the ship move into the port of Mobile. Again, a very exciting morning. Folks from across the entire nation have gathered in Mobile, in the port city, to witness this event. Many of them former LST crew members, and a lot of these members that we've been telling you about for the past couple of days as they've been arriving in Mobile have been very anxious to be reunited with their loved ones aboard the ship. These are actually pictures that were taken from the sky, courtesy of the U.S. Coast Guard, and of course our crews up there with them as we were watching the ship actually move through the mouth of Mobile Bay, passing right by Fort Gaines and Fort Morgan's, where the cannons were fired early this morning, shortly after sunrise. You can see a couple of other ships there that are actually escorting the LST 325 into Mobile Bay. The ship not moving very fast, but a pretty good speed, upwards of, I believe, 5, 6, 8 knots as it was moving through the central portion of Mobile Bay. And now the live picture that you see here of the 325 as it is arriving in Mobile. Amanda Abbott has been covering this one for us this morning. She has been at the convention center watching the people as the excitement has been building and the crowds have been building. Again, many people coming from many distances to make it here to Mobile, and many people thought the ship may not even make it to Mobile. It was in disrepair when the crews began working on it back in the middle of the summer, and it took 3 months of red tape, extensive repairs, and of course uncertain financial support. Many barriers they had to overcome to make the 4,350-mile trip all the way to the port of Mobile. Again, nearly 2 months to do that. Big ceremony is planned for 11 o'clock this morning at Pier D2 at the Alabama State Docks. The Davidson High School Band is there, the Navy Junior ROTC Drill Unit, the Azalea Trail Maids, all to give the 29 crew members aboard this ship a welcome, a southern welcome here to the port city. Governor Don Siegelman and Sonny Callahan, among other dignitaries, are also expected to be there at Pier D2. And many of you headed out early this morning to witness this event and to also take part in all of the festivities. And definitely cold out there this morning. The temperature right now is about 36 degrees, and Mobilians aren't used to that. A lot of the crew members may be that are on board that ship, but definitely Mobilians not used to that. Here's another vantage point here as that ship is moving along the shore there. It is a spectacular sight. Again, this ship, if you're not familiar with it, we can tell you a little bit about it. It's a landing ship tank, which means it's a flat-bottom craft that's designed to roll up on the beach, deploy tanks and heavy equipment and men to shore. It was a key piece of equipment that was used during World War II, and there are more than 1,000 of these that were used. And it's interesting, if you do want more information, you can go to the website uslst.com, and on that website you get extensive information about the LST, and there were many of them, again more than 1,000 that were used during the war, and lots of these men have been internet savvy, kind of getting online and meeting each other, reuniting with each other, their former crew members, and they formed this national organization. And this ship that you're seeing here, the LST 325, is actually going to be staying in Mobile for a little bit of time here until they determine exactly what's going to happen to it. Eventually, the hope is that it will be returned back to its former glory and turned into a floating museum of some type, but the association, the U.S. LST Association is planning an annual reunion in Mobile. That will happen September 18th through the 24th, so we know that the LST 325 will be here through at least that time. But the men that are on board that ship that will be reunited with their families shortly, average age 72, come from all walks of life from all across the entire country, and most of them served on other LSTs. I'm not even sure if any of the men aboard there actually served on the 325, but all have firsthand working knowledge. They were able to take the ship that was in disrepair, that had in essence been mothballed for many, many years, go in and clean it out. It was a rough task, we understand. The ship very rusty in spots. Now, of course, a lot of the men that are on board, as you would imagine, it's a very emotional experience for them. It was interesting in surfing the web and reading some of the letters from the men. They were actually able to email back and forth during their journey across the Atlantic. Bob Madden emailed at one point. It was back on January the 4th, and some of his comments were, my wife and I returned home a couple of hours ago from visiting Nassau. They had the honor to step aboard the 325 while it was picking up some supplies in Nassau, and the ship looked great for its age, according to him, and so did the crew members. They were very excited about being so close to home, and when he saw it coming into dock, his first comment was, it was beautiful, even if it was a bit rusty in spots. Again, a former LST sailor serving on the 708. That was Bob Madden. Another gentleman, Harold Slimmons from Lone Oak, Texas. He is the mayor of Lone Oak, Texas. I believe he is actually aboard the 325 as we speak. He says he would like to express his feelings of being able to make the trip by saying it's been an emotional experience to relive old times, to meet different people of the world. He's 74 years old, and to accomplish something like this, he says he's very proud of that. His family's given him a lot of support. It's very important for him to do this, and of course, obviously a once-in-a-lifetime event. Again, Harold Slimmons, the mayor of Lone Oak, Texas, actually aboard the LST 325. Again, some of the aerial shots that were shot earlier this morning after the sun rose shortly after, just before 7 o'clock this morning, as the 325 was in Mobile Bay, and you can see the Coast Guard alongside there, one of those vessels, as we zoom in closer there, actually inspecting that ship as it was about to move into the central portion of the bay, and it's typical. They typically do that with all ships that come in. And our live pictures here, I believe that's the old marketplace, the former city hall, and you can see the ship definitely making a little bit of progress. And in just a few moments, it should be in view of our cameras there at Cooper Riverside Park, where Amanda Abbott and the rest of our crew continues to watch this event as the ship is moving in as we speak. Stay with us this morning. We're going to continue our live coverage of the LST 325 and its historical arrival in Mobile. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. It's now 4 minutes past 10 o'clock on this Wednesday morning and 36 degrees outside. You're watching the LST 325, a historic warship from World War II as it's making its way up Mobile River right in front of the convention center, where crowds of onlookers have gathered to watch this ship as it slides into port here into the Alabama State docks at Pier D2, where Mobile is ready to roll out the red carpet and give this ship a hero's welcome, the hero's welcome it rightfully deserves. Lots of people have been gathering dockside all morning long to watch this ship as it makes its way into the port of Mobile. And it's been an interesting journey. It started many months ago. Back in the summer, the actual sailors aboard the vessel began refurbishing the ship, preparing it for a long journey across the Atlantic, 4,350 miles to be exact. That's how long or how far this ship has traveled to make it to Mobile. Again, nearly 2 months to even make that trip. The idea to bring it home was born back in the 1980s by the U.S. LST Association. If you want more information and further information, you can log on at home if you have internet access to uslst.com. and get the latest information about the ship. The actual ship's log is actually on there too from many of the sailors, and of course a day-by-day blow of this Anyway, as we are looking at pictures here, the ship making its way into Mobile Bay early this morning, shortly after sunrise, after 7 o'clock this morning, the U.S. Coast Guard alongside as the ship was actually making its way northbound toward the mouth of the Mobile River, entering the Mobile River about 25 to 30 minutes ago, and now slowly making its way toward the Alabama State docks. The crew aboard, well, it's made up of 29 men. The average age is 72. That's right, 72 years young is the average age of the crew that is aboard the LST 325. Most of the men on board, if not all of them, are former LST crew members. They actually served on different LSTs at one point or another during World War II, and they have, of course, firsthand working knowledge of being on the ship and what it takes to make one of these things run. This one had been mothballed for many, many years, in fact, decades, had not been used, so as you would imagine, took lots of work to get this thing ready to make it across the Atlantic waters. A very tough trip. We're going to be checking in with Amanda Abbott hopefully shortly, and she is down on the ground talking with a lot of folks who are very excited about this, again, historical event, and we hope to have her shortly. She's going to bring us a first-hand account of that. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Good morning again, everyone. I'm Don Davis. It's now 10:14, and we're glad to have you with us as we continue our live coverage of the LST 325, a World War II warship that is making its transatlantic journey, ending it here in the port city. Amanda Abbott has been covering this one for us all morning long, first from the Mobile Convention Center and now from the Alabama State Docks. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Don. It is loud out here at the Alabama State Docks, and that's because folks here in Alabama and Mobile are getting ready to give a warm welcome to the LST 325 that has been at sea for 3 months now. As you can hear, there are high school bands here. I want to show you around here because there are thousands of people out here right now. We are told that the ship will be pulling up here probably in another 20 to 30 minutes. The reason why is the families are down at the convention center right now, and they got a chance to go aboard that ship and look and see what their husbands, a lot of the wives are here, the 30 men that are aboard the LST 325. Let me give you a little background. A few years ago, the LST Association, which stands for Landing Ship Tank, wanted to get one of those ships back here in the United States, but they didn't know how. So they started to raise money, and they went over to Greece and found the LST 325 there. 30 men, and the average age is 72 years young. They then put that ship back together for about 3 months. Then they set sea, and here they are, right here in Mobile, Alabama, where they are ready to give a hero's welcome here. It's amazing, you know, there's all kinds of flags out here. You can see our Southern Bells are out here right now. The bands are playing. And the neat part also is there are veterans from all over the United States that are here today that we've been talking with. These are World War II veterans and Korean War veterans that are on the LST 325 this afternoon. And of course, we are just waiting anxiously here at the Alabama State Docks, waiting to see what these men have to say. Once again, they have been away from their families for about 6 months here. A lot of them were told that they couldn't do this mission, that it was something they were too old to do, but they have definitely proved some folks wrong, and we are here to show you that live, and we will be here the rest of the afternoon to bring you the very latest on the LST 325's arrival here in Mobile. Don?
All right, thanks a lot, Amanda. We will be checking back with you shortly at Pier D2 at the Alabama State Docks. Thanks so much for that information this morning. And again, at 11 o'clock, the entire ceremony gets underway. Governor Don Siegelman is expected to be there, along with Sonny Callahan. And you heard the music in the background from the Davidson High School Band, the Navy Junior ROTC Drill Unit, and of course the Azalea Trailmaids on hand for that celebration as well. The story began early this morning, our live coverage at 5:30 as the ship was making its way into Mobile Bay, escorted by the Coast Guard toward the mouth of the Mobile River. And from there, right now, the ship is dockside at the Mobile Convention Center, where you heard a few moments ago Amanda saying that many of the family members are actually boarding the ship, being reunited with their husbands who have made this incredible journey across the Atlantic all the way to the port of Mobile. Lots of folks gathered out there. The ceremony again set to begin at about 11 o'clock this morning, and Fox 10 will continue our live coverage of this historic event coming up in just a few more minutes. Stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's now 10:20. We continue our coverage of the arrival of the LST 325. We're going to send it right back to the Alabama State Docks. Amanda Abbott joining us again. Good morning again, Amanda.
Good morning, Don. Right now I have Captain Hal Pierce, who is here with us this morning, who is the Master of Ceremonies. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, what is so big about this event for Mobile?
We don't really know. The LST had 1 million sailors on it during the World War II, and this LST is a significant thing for Mobile, but we had no idea such a crowd was going to turn out. It's a total surprise, and we're about 3 times what we were prepared for, which is why I'm in such a hurry. It's a marvelous, fantastic thing for Mobile, and Fox 10 is doing a good job of covering it, too.
Well, thank you, Captain.
You're welcome.
Tell me, have you gotten to talk to the 30 men aboard in this last 6 months?
We've been talking to the ship, but some of them we have not. But there's 300 members of their families here. This is going to be a reunion of major proportions. You know, it's going to be great.
As a veteran, what does this mean to you?
Well, what do you mean? It's a terrific hype. It's a terrific hype. Our brethren, our comrades from World War II are the epitome of veterans. And the spirit and guts that this act has captured the imagination of the entire world. All veterans. Look at the veterans here. There's 1,000 veterans here who are not LST veterans. They're just down here with their flags to respect these guys. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm going to let you go because I know that you've got to get going. Thank you so much, Captain. I appreciate you joining us. Once again, we are waiting for the arrival of the LST 325. I want you to take a look right behind me. The ship that you see right there is the Coast Guard ship that actually met the LST 325 right at the mouth of the Mobile Bay. We are now waiting on it. We are told that it is down at the convention center where the wives of the husbands that have been on board for the last 3 months and been away from home for the last 6 months are actually getting to tour that ship right now. So we are anxiously awaiting. You can see all the folks down here, tons of American flags, bands, you name it. It is out here for a warm, warm Southern welcome here in Mobile, Alabama. Once again, we will keep a live local coverage out here today as we watch the LST 325 make its way into the Alabama State Docks. Don?
Can you hear me very clear?
Yeah, I think
okay.
I can. There you go.
Yeah, I know a lot of stories coming off this vessel today, a lot of emotion, and the people you've been speaking with, the ladies that you spoke with earlier this morning, the reaction from the family members. What's that been like for you? It's
been overwhelming, Don. It is amazing to me, and I guess the thing that has struck me emotionally is the amount of veterans that have come from all over the United States. These are not just LST 325 families out here. These are veterans of LSTs from World War II from all over the United States. Like you saw this morning, I did talk to couples from Wisconsin, Ohio, you name it, they're out here. They made this journey. This has been a long time in coming for the LSTs Association, and they are just excited to finally see it come to reality here and make its way back to the United States.
Yeah, I keep anxiously looking behind you there to see if the ship is moving because a lot of the crowd is starting to move around, but it's also a big media event. There's a lot going on out there where you're located this morning.
It definitely is, and when I was talking to Captain Pierce, he told me, you know, a few months ago, maybe about a year ago, they started telling folks about this mission that the LST Association was trying to get, and he said that it didn't catch on. A lot of people didn't believe it because, once again, there are 30 veterans on there. Average age is 72 years young. So they were told many times they weren't going to be able to do it. The ship was not going to make it from Greece to here. It has taken 3 months. These 30 men have run that ship for the last 3 months. So it is just amazing out here. And, yes, definitely a media frenzy out here.
And very emotional, I'm sure, a little bit later this morning as we actually get to speak with the men that are aboard that ship and learn what they went through. I mean, like you said, the average age 72 and the amount of hard work that it takes to run a ship like that.
And that was one of the questions I asked on a few times to the wives this morning. They've actually had contact with their husbands throughout the 6 months, of course. And I said, what kind of hardships have they gone through, you know? Because when you think of a 70-year-old person, you think it's their golden years. You know, you can't imagine them getting back back on a ship, waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning to make it run correctly. But they said that it's you know, reviving them. It's bringing them back to their young years, and they've enjoyed it up to now. But one of the wives did admit that her husband, she talked to him probably about a week ago and said he was ready. He was ready to come home. He was ready to step ashore, and so now we're all sitting here waiting for it to happen and definitely anxiously awaiting. Once again, just check it out behind me here. We've got Coast Guard ships that are escorting them in. This is a huge event out here, folks. And I guess the neat part also is how many people have shown up to bring these heroes in, as they are being called today. They are calling them the real American heroes. So we are going to be out here all morning long and bring you the very latest.
All right, and we can see on the podium behind you there, Amanda, U.S. Representative Sonny Callahan, who is on hand. I understand Don Siegelman is supposed to be there shortly as well. So thanks so much for that report this morning. The ship, the LST 325, is actually dockside at the Mobile Convention Center, where Amanda told you just a few moments ago that the ship is being boarded by many of the family members, being reunited after a very long time apart, as these men have made their journey across the Atlantic waters, some 4,350 miles to make the trip, a very long trip moving into Mobile. A lot of you at home may be asking, what's going to happen with this vessel? Well, I don't think everyone knows the answers to those questions at this exact moment, but we can tell you that the U.S. LST organization actually has an association and planning its annual reunion in Mobile coming up September 18th through the 24th. And of course, a lot of attention and focus will be around the 325, which is in Mobile now. So we know the ship will be here through at least September. Beyond that, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We do know the intent of bringing this vessel back to the U.S. and into Mobile is to actually refurbish it and turn it into a floating museum. Interesting fact you heard just a few moments ago from the captain: more than 1 million sailors actually and infantrymen were aboard these vessels at one time or another during World War II. So there you see it, the LST 325, as it's beginning to make its way to Pier D2 at the Alabama State Docks. A spectacular sight there. The definitely seaworthy vessel as it is slowly but surely moving on up the Mobile River with the American flag flying on the front of the ship as we speak. The crew, 29 strong, average age 72. The ship's a little bit rusty, and I'm sure they are a little bit rusty after making that very, very long voyage. A lot of folks out there may not know exactly what an LST is. We're going to be telling you that throughout the morning, and a little bit later this afternoon we'll have, of course, extensive coverage of this, and we'll be checking back in with the special ceremony that begins officially at 11 o'clock this morning, about 30 minutes from now. Stay with us, everybody. There's much more to come. We will be back. Welcome back, everybody. It's now 10:30, and it is the end of a journey for LST 325 making its way into Mobile at the Alabama State Docks, and that's where we find Amanda Abbott. She's been dockside this morning for us, covering the story. Amanda, the ship, we can see it behind you.
Yes, Don, I want you to take a look straight behind me. Here comes the LST 325, and what an end to a very long journey. They have been at sea for about 3 months here, and it's sort of overwhelming to see. These folks have been waiting all morning long, sort of braving these cold temperatures out here, but definitely have a very warm welcome for the LST 325. A little background on this ship. About a year or so ago, the LST Association, LST standing for Landing Ship Tank Association, comprised of about 9,000 members, mostly World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, wanted to bring one of these ships home. Now, you may remember this kind of ship was the actually one from the Saving Private Ryan movie. The back of it opens up, and troops can come off the back. As you can hear behind me, they are starting to get ready for the ceremony here. We've got congressmen, the mayor, you name it, they're out here to welcome in. Thousands of people. We've got bands out here and tons of American flags. Definitely a big hero's welcome out here at the Alabama State Dock. Once again, there are about 30 men on there, World War II veterans. Average age is 72 years young. They started off in Greece 3 months ago and have been moving slowly. We are told that this ship probably only goes about 6 knots, which is not very fast, folks, not very fast at all. That's why it has taken them about 3 months. As you can tell, it's sort of run down, and about 6 months ago, these 30 men went over to Greece to fix it up so that it could actually sail all this way, and it took a lot of work. The other very interesting part is it all came out of their pockets. There were no federal tax money, anything like that was used on this ship. It was all out of this association's pocket and everything else. I'm looking out on the ship right now, and you can see these gentlemen are just waving, I think, very much overwhelmed. Who could not be overwhelmed by this? American heroes, they are being called out here. World War II veterans, many of them were told that they could not make this journey. They would never be able to make this journey. And the excitement is definitely here, folks. Just take a look out here. I just want you to sort of take the moment in with all of us here. Signaling us with some horn blows here. Once again, these men have been at sea for the last 3 months, all the way from Greece. Average age aboard there is 72 years young. We are just waiting for them to actually hit shore here. Their family members are here, along with a lot of veterans throughout the United States. This morning, we talked to a lot of folks that were veterans on LSTs from anywhere from Ohio to Wisconsin. Here goes the bands. Anchor Away is the song that they're playing, welcoming these veterans home. One of the interesting things is I sat and talked to one of the veterans, and he was actually a Vietnam veteran, and I asked him why he came out here today, and he said he never got this kind of welcome when he came home from war, and today he wanted to pay tribute to some of the men that have given us this freedom today to be able to stand out on these docks and wave these flags out here. So just a monumental moment out here at the Alabama State Docks.
You all will notice the red banner there. Hello, Mobile. Hello, Alabama. Hello, United States. First port, United States. I'm just trying to send that out too.
Once again, the master of ceremony will be Captain Hal Pierce, who is just getting up to the podium here, and of course we're going to bring you this whole ceremony. We've got congressmen here, senators, the mayors here, just a huge event for Alabama right now, and we are just excited about the event. Once again, the LST 325 is back after being at sea for the last 3 months. Most of these men, though, have been away from home for 6 months because 3 months prior they were in Greece setting and making sure that the ship could be at sea for the next 3 months. And average age, once again, 72 years young. Many of them were told they would never make it. They'd never make it back to the United States, that the ship wouldn't make it, and they wouldn't make it. But I guess they're making some of those critics quiet right now as you see them pull into the Alabama State Docks. Bands playing, American Heroes Welcome here at the Alabama State Docks. I think we're getting ready for the ceremonies to start up behind us. Once again, the master of ceremony today will be Hal Pierce, who is a captain and has been following the LST 325 throughout its journey. He is a part of the association. Once again, LST standing for Landing Ship Tank. And there are veterans from all over the United States here. This is another neat part of watching out here, and we've been talking to them all morning long, anywhere from all the way up in Wisconsin to some folks here in Alabama that have come, many of them just to pay respect, and I guess some of them just to see that they actually did it. They did it, and they ran the ship themselves for the last 3 months. The oldest member, I believe, that is on the ship that I'm being told is about 81 years old. You think that this is your golden year. A lot of them are retired and would be settled down, but they get back on a ship and make it from Greece to here to the United States. one thing that you do need to know is they will be here until September. There will be an opportunity for the public to come and view the LST. One of the reasons they brought this ship back, the main reason they brought this ship back to the States, is because they wanted to use it for an educational purpose. And there are a lot of school children out here today. I'm sure you can see them in the foreground here.
Definitely, we can see them out there, Amanda, and as the tugboats are pushing the LST 325, mooring it there to the side, it's probably going to take a few minutes before they can actually dock it there. I'm very impressed with the size of this ship.
Isn't it amazing? It does look a little rusty, and you know, a lot of people said at first you'll look at it and you're going to think, how did it make it this far? And yeah, I'll have to admit that was probably one of my first thoughts. But you've got to remember that this ship is about 60 years old, and it had not been in use for a few years before they actually got it in Greece. So it is definitely going to take them a few minutes to get up to shore here, but they have a lot of folks waiting for them here, Don.
That they do, a very large crowd on hand, and we can see several different angles here as the tugs are actually spinning the LST 325 around into a good position to where they can let everyone get on and off. I guess we're seeing the back there where those huge doors, I guess, I'm assuming are located on the back or either the front of the ship.
Right, Don. They keep telling me, if you've seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, it is that kind of ship that you see at the very beginning of the movie on D-Day. And in fact, the LST 325 was used on D-Day, June 6, 1944. This was there. This ship right here was at D-Day, and what they did was open that back part up, and troops would come off of that right there, Don.
In covering this story and following the internet site, and a lot of folks at home may want to do that, it's uslst.com, or actually .org, uslst.org. You can visit that website and get all kinds of information on this ship. And, you know, they said it took 3 months of extensive repairs and lots of money to get this ship ready to sail. And we're definitely getting a good look at the amount of work. I imagine the amount of work on that thing was monumental.
Amazing. And also, Don, you need to keep in mind that these gentlemen reached into their own pockets and made this possible. They also had a nice donation from BP Gas, Petroleum. They were the ones that donated the gas because about 6 months ago, they didn't think this was going to be possible because they could not afford the gas. As you can imagine, it would be very, very expensive to do that. So they did have that donated. But once again, no tax dollars went into this mission right here. It was right out of their pockets. And they are pushing some people back here from the docks, getting it ready. Exciting to see here. I think we might be able to get some close-up of some of the gentlemen that have been aboard this for the last 3 months.
Saying, Amanda, it's some 40,000 gallons of petroleum that was donated by BP.
Don, you're going to have to repeat that again. I missed it there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was saying the British Petroleum donated some 40,000 gallons of diesel fuel, which was required to make the trip. So it was a major donation by BP, and I know the national organization is grateful for that. But, finally, the ship is looks like it's in position, and things are ready to go as we definitely give the official welcome.
Very much so, Don, and like you said, it was a great donation there. They are getting set right here, but of course I think they want to get the gentlemen off the ship, and then they will begin the whole ceremony behind us. Once again, there are congressmen, senators, you name it, they're all here to watch this ship come in, a ship that many folks said would not make it, that these veterans would not make it this far. So it is a great event. And not only for these gentlemen, but I think also for Mobile to have this kind of ship come in here to be a part of this. I was talking to some of the Mobile Convention Visitor Bureau folks, and they tell me that at first this was not going to come here. It was looking at going to Norfolk, Virginia. Then all of a sudden they changed their route, and here they are. Let me let you listen to some of the people cheering them on here.
That they are. Lots of cheers coming from the crowd this morning, and lots of excitement out there, as you would imagine. And I'm sure that most of these men, Amanda, did not and were not anticipating the crowd that they're seeing out there today. I understand it's being quite a surprise for them.
Yeah, I don't think they were expecting this many at all. And in fact, when we were talking to some of the folks here in Mobile that helped plan this, at first they were thinking maybe a few hundred people, but I can look out here and tell you we're looking at thousands of people here. Not only here, but they were over at the convention center. So it has been I think just overwhelming. I don't believe people were looking for this and didn't think this many people would show up. A lot of school children are here right now, tons of classes and sort of a time in history. So it's a great learning opportunity for them. So it's been neat to watch. I'm excited to be a part of it, Don.
Very much so, and I want to correct something we said earlier. The actual doors are on the front of the ship, on the bow, so that's what made the ship able to slide in and deploy the troops. And as it was spinning around, I was disoriented looking at the back of the ship at those big, what appeared to be the doors. But anyway, we definitely wanted to make that correction.
Right, and they are coming right in here to shore. As you can see, Don, there looks like, now the ones that are the actual veterans that were on the ship, I'm told, are in the khaki uniforms here. And they have pulled up to shore here, and folks are just sort of quiet, waiting here, waiting to see what's next. We're waiting for the master of ceremony to start. The band's starting to play up here, and veterans from all over the United States are here today to welcome these American heroes, as they're calling them, home to the United States from a mission that a lot of folks did not think was going to happen, because average age, once again, 72 years young aboard this ship right now. Don?
All right, Amanda, again, the ceremony is set to begin in just a few minutes, and it's going to take a little bit of time there to get that ship in position. A lot of folks may not know exactly what an LST is. If you're just joining us, we can definitely give you some background on that and get you up to speed with what an LST is and what it actually did. It is known as a landing ship tank. If that doesn't help you very much, it's a flat-bottom craft designed to roll up a beach and deploy tanks, heavy equipment, and men to shore. And it was a key piece of equipment that was used during World War II. There were more than 1,000 of them that were used in the war. The LST-325 happened to be built in the Philadelphia Navy Yard. That was back in 1942. It was assigned to the European theater and saw action in the Sicilian occupation. Didn't capture headlines like a destroyer or battleship, but no doubt it played a key role in the Allied victory in World War II. Bob Grip now with more on exactly what the LST is.
At last, the ships leave the coastal waters and move out into the channel. The slow LSTs loaded with heavy equipment. The transports loaded with men.
The brainchild of Winston Churchill, the LST had a simple mission. It was designed and built to carry tanks, troops, and supplies during amphibious operations in Europe. During D-Day, LSTs brought tanks to the beaches of Normandy and brought back more than 41,000 wounded soldiers. About as long as a football field, LSTs could carry 2,100 tons of equipment. More than 1,000 of them were built during the Second World War, where they took part in the invasions of Sicily, Italy, Normandy, and southern France, and played a key role in the liberation of the Philippines and the capture of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Despite being nicknamed large, slow targets by those who manned them, only 26 were lost to enemy action. After the end of the war, some of the LSTs were turned into scrap metal. Others were sold to other countries.
And the LST-325 and her crew earned 2 battle stars during World War II. That's this specific ship you're seeing there. She was decommissioned in 1946. Then in 1964, she was rebuilt and loaned to the Greek Navy. Now the crew hopes to turn her, as we mentioned, into a floating museum. More than $70,000 has already been raised for those efforts, and she is home this morning, back on U.S. soil, the port of Mobile, the Alabama State docks at the pier there. And we're going to chat back in with Amanda, who continues to witness this event with us, starting early this morning at 5:30, Amanda.
They just threw some of the ropes ashore here. They are hooking their lines up here. Very, very quite a bit here for Mobile. On the end of the ships, what we're showing you are the veterans that have been aboard the ship for the last 3 months. 3 months prior to that, they were in Greece fixing the ship up. It is almost 60 years old and was not being used for years before that. So they had a lot of work in front of them when they started out, and a lot of folks said they couldn't do it. But as you are seeing right now live, they did do it, and they are here in Mobile, Alabama, and being welcomed by thousands of people out here with their American flags, anchors away, and I believe we're shooting off some cannons here. So just a lot of stuff going on. Lots of folks holding up signs, veterans from all over the United States here to welcome these folks home. They are calling them the American heroes. 30 men aboard that ship right there. Not real sure yet. We will be able to find out in a few minutes if they're ready to hit shore just yet. But as you can imagine, this is your golden years. And a lot of people in their 70s couldn't imagine getting back on a ship at this point in time. So a big, big event out here at the Alabama State Docks. Signs being held up, families. A lot of people here don't even know any of these men that are aboard the LST 325. Just came here to welcome them home to the United States.
That they did, Amanda. Just a huge group out there this morning. It's very exciting, of course, from the city as we throw the ropes over the side of the boat and tie it up there to the Alabama State Docks. And it will be a fascinating next couple of months as we anticipate and learn exactly what's going to be happening to the 325. The intent was to bring her back to the United States and turn her into a floating museum. Of course, lots of work must be done in order for that to happen. Got to select a location. Where's it going? Who's going to pay for it? Many questions to be answered, of course, in the upcoming days. But if the ship can make it all the way from Greece to Mobile, Alabama, I'm sure that's not going to be a barrier
Not too bad
in turning her into a museum.
Don, I can see that some of the veterans are actually talking to the folks here on shore. One of them says, "We're here, we're back," and gave the thumbs up sign to everybody here. I'm sure they're just waiting to get on shore and meet with their families, see their families that are here, and just shake a lot of hands. Once again, there are some folks here that don't know anybody aboard at the LST 325. They're just with the LST Association, but they are just glad to be back here. And once again, this was a dream, a goal of the LST Association several years ago to bring one of these ships back to the United States. And they were told by many folks that they couldn't do it because the average age, once again, is 72 years young on here with these veterans. Have been away from home for the last 6 months. This is so neat out here. There's some on the end of the ship here that are waving at their family. One just blew a kiss, I'm assuming to a family member that is probably down on shore watching this. But a great event out here. Lots of grandchildren are out here to greet their grandfathers that are coming in. And one of the stories I told a little earlier is I talked to one of the veterans that was out here. He's a Vietnam vet. And I asked him why he came out here. Why did he come this far? He's from Ohio. And he said when he came home from Vietnam, he didn't have this kind of welcome. And he wanted to give that kind of welcome to these veterans. There are 30 men aboard this ship right now. They came all the way from Greece. They've been on the ship for 3 months now, but away from home for the last 6 months because, as you can see, the ship needed a lot of repairs, probably still does. We do not know what it's going to do from this point on. We do know it's here in Mobile until September because the LST Association is having a reunion here in Mobile, and so they will have it. We're not sure where it's going to be docked, but they say there's some things that need to be done on the ship to have it up and running, and they want to use it for educational purposes. Don?
And rightfully so, and a lot of these men, as we've mentioned, have been at sea for upwards of 2 months, and of course missing New Year's and Christmas with their families, so I know it's going to be a joyous reunion as many of them are actually face-to-face and probably have their sea legs when they step back on solid ground. I'm sure they will enjoy that feeling as well, being at sea for so long. Right,
and as you heard this morning when I was talking to one of those wives, it wasn't only Christmas and New Year's they missed. There are a few that missed their birthdays and one that missed his 50-year anniversary. So she said he's going to have to pay up pretty big for that one. But I think that this is a good event for them. And when I asked the wives, you know, what did you think when your husband first told you he was going to get on the ship and be gone for 6 months? These wives thought, pretty nuts, pretty crazy, but it's a dream of theirs that they needed to have come true. One sad story out of this, one of the men that did start on the ship in Greece had to get off about a month into it, fell ill, and that was one of the problems that a lot of people saw on this flight, that these men are up in in their 70s and so, and they were concerned about health problems. One of those men was flown home, unfortunately did not get to see the end of this journey, passed away, and so some of these veterans say that he will be remembered today also.
They've been described as aging veterans aboard a rusty U.S. warship, but they have proved they are anything but rusty. I think that's a fantastic summation here as we are witnessing this, as the boat is pulled along dockside. Again, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to be able to actually get off the vessel there, and there is an official ceremony that's set to begin in about 8 or 9 minutes at 11 o'clock.
Trailmates that are going down to get the captain off the ship, so please give them room.
Don, you can hear the master of ceremony behind us. They're trying to get the captain off the ship right now. The captain is the youngest one aboard, 62 years old, and he has been in charge of all of these gentlemen for the last few months here. So this is a great event. Folks are just waiting for him to hit the shore here. So we will see what's coming up. We're waiting for the ceremony to start. It looks like everybody's getting around the podium, and I just think it's sort of waiting and watching here what's next for us.
Looks like we are about to start getting off of the ship there, Amanda, from a vantage point that we've got. I'm not sure if you have that same vantage point, but it looks like it's just going to be a matter of moments before these men begin to actually come off of that ship. Again, our coverage started early this morning at about 5:30. We had some fantastic pictures of the ship as it was moving through the Mobile Bay, escorted by the Coast Guard, a couple of tugboats alongside too, to make sure that everything was safe and sound and that the gentlemen were able to make it into port. Not a fast-moving vessel by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely seaworthy, and as it moved toward the mouth of the Mobile River, it was really a spectacular sight, a much-awaited sight, as many people, as you mentioned, have been gathered dockside all morning, braving the cold temperatures now at about 38, 39 degrees, and hopefully warming into the 50s a little bit later this afternoon. So the weather has been good to us so far, and it looks like it will be for at least the rest of this afternoon. Stay with us, everybody. Our live continuing coverage of the LS 325 continues right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's now 10:58 on this Wednesday morning. You're looking at live pictures of the end of a journey. Pier D2, the Alabama State docks, where the LST 325 is now dockside, and shortly, in just a matter of moments, we anticipate the crew made up of 29 members, average age 72, to be getting off of that ship, stepping down onto the Alabama State docks for a hero's welcome, a major reception that is set to begin momentarily at 11 o'clock this morning. The Davidson High School Band is dockside this morning, providing some music. We also have the Navy Junior ROTC Drill Unit and the Azalea Trailmates on hand as well for the big welcome here into Mobile. Of course, the Southern hospitality at its greatest. The sailors on board the ship, all 29 of them, come from across the nation. Many of their families from just about all over the place, actually. Many different cities and many different states represented here today, and gathering in Mobile for this somewhat unexpected welcome. The large crowds, the fanfare. I don't think these gentlemen were anticipating that, but after all, they deserve it. After their Atlantic journey of some 4,350 miles comes to a close today. Amanda Abbott has been covering this story with us since early this morning at 5:30. Amanda, it was cold and dark this morning. It's warming up now, and spirits are definitely lifting.
It is, and the spirits have warmed up out here. The temperatures have warmed up, and it has finally made it ashore here. Some of the gentlemen, the band was playing over here, and they were actually dancing, so spirits are high. Who couldn't have high spirits after looking at all these folks? They definitely were not expecting this many people people to turn out to welcome the LST 325 home. But here they are. Here are all these people. As you can see, these American flags waving every which way you turn. Veterans from all over the United States. As you saw this morning, we did talk to some of those veterans as far away as Wisconsin. They traveled to come and welcome these guys home. There are 30 veterans aboard. Average age is 72 years young. The youngest one on there right now, though, is the captain, who is 62 years old, I am told. And I believe the oldest, and we're not sure on this one, of course we're going to have to ask, and people might not be telling the truth out here, but I am told is about 82 years old. So just a long journey. They have been at it for 3 months now here at sea. 3 months prior to that, they were in Greece fixing the ship so that it can make this long journey, which it has now made, and to Mobile. A lot of these gentlemen, when they first came up with this idea several years ago with the LST Association, were told they would never make it. They were too old, the ship was too old, and they couldn't get it to the United States. But as you can see right now, live right here in Mobile, the LST 325 has made it ashore. They are just waiting to get on board, and one of them is actually grabbing a banner here. Let's see if we can see what his banner's saying over here. Roland Rock. It looks like it says right there, holding it up, posing for a lot of pictures here. This is not only, I'm told about 320 people out here are the actual family members of the folks on board the ship. Other than that, though, once again, veterans from all over the United States. Our community has turned out, and just a neat event out here. History being made right here. LSTs are not here in the United States. I'm told a lot of them are away in different countries, so it was a big task getting it here to the United States. They came from Greece. A lot of red tape that they had to go through to bring it here to the United States, but they made it. They proved their critics wrong, as you can see out here. And we're just sort of waiting for them to get aboard on shore, and as anxious as we are, you can just imagine how anxious they must be, Don.
Very true, Amanda. And as you mentioned earlier, such an emotional event as well. And speaking with the veterans you spoke with this morning, and of course, all of the wives of the gentlemen that are aboard this vessel, you had so many stories that were told to you this morning about the importance of bringing a vessel like this back to the United States.
Well, the main importance of this journey right here was educational purposes. And I can tell you there are hundreds of school children here right now. Some of these kids have been following this ship for months now on their long journey, and it's been sort of a living educational purpose here. And they're hoping that they can actually sail this ship around to different states. That's what they're talking about doing now, and using it as an educational tool and explaining to children about World War II. A lot of these veterans, as you heard this morning, told me that they believe it's lost, that a lot of the younger generation doesn't understand what happened in World War II. They don't understand the reason that they are getting to stand out here with their flags this morning is because of the freedom that these veterans allowed us from World War II. And they said that they hope that bringing the ship here, they'll be able to use it once again as an educational tool, and the kids are very excited. They all have banners here and holding up United States flags. So it's been a great morning here. Once again, just sort of waiting for them to come ashore here. I noticed that they have dropped the ramp over there, Dawn, so it looks like they're moving ahead here. It's sort of moving slow, but we are watching it all unfold right in front of us.
All right, slowly but surely, but after such a long voyage of some 4,350 miles, I think they can wait just a few minutes probably to step down and to step onto the Alabama State docks. As you mentioned, around 11 o'clock this morning, the special ceremony was set to begin. It's past that time now, but I believe we're going to be heading toward that direction in just a few minutes. Governor Don Siegelman's supposed to be on hand. We have not seen him yet. We have seen Mayor Mike Dow up on the podium, and also U.S. Representative Sonny Callahan also at the Alabama State docks this morning. So, Amanda, from here, as far as this vessel is concerned and turning it to a museum being the long goal, the long-range plan for this vessel, the next couple of months it actually will be staying in Mobile, correct?
Yes, it will be staying in Mobile. We're told till at least September, and we're not real sure where it's going to be docked. They have a lot of things that they want to be able to fix on this vessel right here. They've had a few mechanical problems along the way. It has been a long 3 months. Also, I am told this ship does not move very fast, not very fast at all. It goes about 3 knots, and they just tell me it's extremely, extremely slow. So we have been waiting, like you said, it seems like forever that they've actually hit shore here. So we are just standing, but forever is nothing compared to the journey that they have been making over the last 6 months. So we are getting set here. We want to show you the podium that we are getting ready to have the Master of Ceremony start up here. I think they're just waiting actually to get them off of the ships here. And I can see Don Siegelman is here, the mayor is here. So we are just waiting for the whole thing to get started. And people are very anxious, very anxious. People just sort of keep looking up at the ship and wondering.
Very true, and you know, it's amazing to see all of the faces in the crowd. I'm starting this morning with just a few people that were trickling out around 5:45, 6 o'clock this morning, and then the crowd's really starting to move out in spite of the cold temperatures. Just a massive crowd at the state docks. I'm not even sure if the state docks were anticipating this large of a crowd.
They definitely were not anticipating all these folks here. And Don, when I talked to the people that had organized this, they said they were overwhelmed and realized probably about 6 o'clock this morning that they had a lot more people on hand than they thought were going to be on hand. The traffic getting in here was monstrous, and the parking lot right now is packed full with cars. But once again, we're just sort of waiting here, just waiting for them to get off this ship. They have been at sea for 3 months now. They have made some stops along the way. We are told they stopped in Nassau in the Bahamas. For what? I was told by one of the wives they wanted to get some beer. And I think at 72 years old and doing a 6-month journey like that, I think they're allowed to do that. What do you think, Don?
Well, you know, also I was reading on the internet with one of their daily logs that they have been emailing to the website for the US LST, which is uslst.org. And it said they also picked up fish, chicken, lettuce, a giant squash, some other fresh vegetables, and loaves of bread. So
right, so they picked up some necessities along the way.
I think so.
It's the bands are playing here, and I think we're going here, Don. I think we've definitely had the ramp on shore now. People, you can see it's sort of picking up out here. People are realizing that they have.
All right, Amanda, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll rejoin you in just a few moments. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Don Davis, along with Amanda Abbott this morning, covering the arrival of the LST 325 at the Alabama State Docks. It's been a spectacular morning dockside this morning. Our breaking news coverage continues now with the official ceremony that was set to begin at 11 o'clock, running just a few minutes behind, which is definitely understandable. Lots of chaos out there at the docks. I think a much larger crowd than ever anticipated for this historical event. The LST 325 is here officially, arriving, docking up on the Alabama State Docks at Pier D2 about 15 to 20 minutes ago. As they tied the vessel down, we are anticipating and waiting for the crew aboard, some 30 men with the average age of 72, to step down the plank, back down toward, or actually onto the state docks, and then head toward the podium.
Don,
Amanda?
they are all sitting here sort of posing for pictures. We've been watching them. There are 30 veterans aboard there, World War II, Korean War veterans, and we are just sort of standing here watching, waiting for them to get ashore. And right now they are all posing for pictures, giving thumbs up to family members that are down here on shore that have not seen most of their family for about 6 months here. Once again, their journey started a few years ago when the LST Association, which stands for Landing Ship Tank Association, decided that they wanted to bring one of these LST ships back to the United States. So for several years they were working on how to get one of these ships back. 6 months ago, these 30 men got together, headed over to Greece. For 3 months they had to put the ship back together because for several years before that it hadn't been used. It hadn't been in the water, so it was not ready to make a long journey. They did get it ready, and for the last 3 months they have been traveling from Greece, and like I said, we are just waiting for them to step off and get ashore here. There are a lot of people down there that are just waiting for them. I think we do have one that has stepped down on the shore there. He is sort of just swarmed with media. There's been a lot of media out here, as you can imagine, from all over the United States. And here comes one right here. Coming off, we're going to let you sort of watch these folks step off the ship here. One by one, they're making their way down there. They've sort of been swarmed once again by cameras that are all around them right now.
Captain directly to the
and the master of ceremony, I think, is just sort of waiting for them all to make it to the podium. Over here, we've got congressmen, senators, the mayor is here, all of which are supposed to speak today. And one by one, they are making their way over there. But once again, they've got thousands of folks out here waiting to greet them, along with camera crews that have surrounded them. This has turned into a huge media event. And Don, like I was telling you before, about a year ago, they sort of let the media and other folks know about their journey, and it really didn't take charge. Not a lot of folks were real interested in it, and like I said earlier in the morning, a lot of people didn't think they could do it. They said that they were average age of 72 years young, and the ship was almost 60 years old, and they weren't going to make it. But as you can see, they have made it ashore here in Mobile, and they are getting a hero's welcome. One of the stories I've been telling all morning long that just sort of tells about the emotional issue out here is one of the veterans I talked to was a Vietnam vet, and he told me this morning he came all the way from Ohio to welcome these guys ashore because he didn't have this kind of homecoming when he came home from Vietnam, and he wants to make sure that these men get that kind of homecoming, and they are definitely seeing it all happen. And now we've got one captain. The captain is going back on the ship here, so there's a few people going on and off. Not real sure what's happening here. They're all sort of shaking hands, being greeted. Warm Southern hospitality here in Mobile, and like I said, we've got the marching band out here, and we are just sort of waiting for them all to make it to the podium here, Don.
And that we are, and it should be just a few more moments before we can get everyone that we need up to the podium so they can officially begin the ceremony. Don't know if you heard me a few moments ago, we've been saying stepping ashore, Amanda, and it's actually they're stepping on the docks. So
very good.
Kind of a technicality, but it's upsetting a lot of people, we understand. So nonetheless, they are stepping onto the docks at the Alabama State Docks.
Stepping onto the
Yes.
docks. Okay, I've got it down. I've learned a lot of lingo this morning, so it's been very interesting. And as you know, veterans have some amazing stories to tell out here, and I think it's lost a lot of time. In my generation and the younger generation, we didn't ever have wartime, so to us it's not something that's tangible. But these men are bringing the ship here so that we can learn from it. We can be educated by it. I'm assuming, Don, that you'll probably take your little girl aboard the ship. It's a great educational tool that you know, a lot of folks can learn from.
Very, very true. It's also been interesting this morning, too. I don't know if you can see in the center of your screen at home, but a smaller boat there that is moving down the Mobile River as we speak. A lot of people have been watching this event from the water, out in their personal watercrafts. I've seen several boats in the background at times, especially as the ship was making its way into Mobile Bay. At the mouth of Mobile Bay, right near Fort Gaines and Fort Morgan. Early this morning, we had some aerial pictures we were showing you earlier as the Coast Guard was escorting the LST 325 toward the mouth of the Mobile River, and it was a spectacular sight seeing actually all of the other boats that were in the water as well, trying to get a different vantage point. So it has garnered lots of attention also from the water and the shore, or should we say the dock this morning as well.
The docks. So we've been corrected on that this morning, John, and they are making their way. We're trying to see what they're doing over here. They're trying to make them get over to the podium, but right now they are just taking a few veterans aboard. Sort of neat. As you can see, there's one man that has gotten out of his wheelchair that is being helped aboard the LST here, 325. I'm assuming these are a lot of the veterans that are a part of the association here that have come out. They are making their way to the podium, folks. We are watching them sort of break through the crowd here. We are definitely going to show you this right here. They are making their way. There are so many people out here, it's sort of hard to distinguish which ones are the veterans that have come up here. They are having police escorts through here, and they have made it to the docks. We are watching them head up to the dock. Of course, the master of ceremonies today is Captain Hal Pierce. One of the gentlemen has made it up. Here we go. We're going to turn it over to the podium now.
The national anthem. The national anthem.
I'm supposed to do something.
Way high in this program must appear a prayer of thanksgiving. Veterans Chaplain Ed Connick.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we come before you today to give you thanks, to celebrate this wonderful day, to celebrate life, to celebrate freedom, to celebrate victory for the crew of the LST 223. 235. 325. All right. Yes. Through their victory today, we honor all veterans of World War II, those who have died, those who are living. Through their victory today, this crew reaffirms the title bestowed upon them as the greatest generation. For their victory today, Eternal Father, we give you thanks and glory and praise. Thanks for the protection of this crew on this historic voyage. Thank you for the pride, the honor, the dignity as we stand under this great country, this great flag. God bless these men of the crew of the LST 325. God bless their families. And God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Jeff and Ed. Well, we got him up here. Wasn't that good? We finally got him up there. Captain Robert Jorland. He'll have a lot of attention in this program. I want to take about 15 seconds. I don't have time to talk about everybody that participated, but to the trail mates, to Davidson High School students, you're beautiful as usual, to the many color guards, to all these LST guys and all these veterans. It's an amazing phenomenon. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your part. Now let me introduce to you somebody you already know, a veteran's veteran, Mayor Mike Dow.
To our Master of Ceremonies, Captain Hal Pierce, to the Alabama State Conservation Commissioner, Riley Boykin Smith, representing Governor Don Siegelman, to Congressman Sonny Callahan, to Congressman Ralph Hall, Jimmy Lyons, the Director of the Alabama State Docks, to Mr. Mike Adams, the Vice President for BP Oil, Captain Konstantinos Soflianos, the naval attaché from the Embassy of Greece, to Theodore Kamarinos, the Greek consul in New Orleans, to the members of the Mobile City Council, the Mobile County Commission, the Mobile Legislative Delegation, visitors and out-of-town guests, to Captain Roland and the crew and the families and the friends of the LST 325, and also a special welcome and thank you to the national, state, and local media who have given this historic event. Those that believe that heroes are not born. Their ideals, their commitment, and most importantly, their actions make them heroes. These men who we are welcoming and honoring and acknowledging here today are truly American heroes. They represent all that is great about our country. These men are role models for our youth. Their love and dedication to our country, their willingness to fight for our country, and their willingness to take actions to keep our country strong demonstrates their heroism. We appreciate their unselfish contributions and sacrifices during World War II, and we appreciate them for their courage and their extraordinary accomplishment of bringing the LST 325 across the Atlantic Ocean. Mobile is proud to host this reception today to pay tribute to these young at heart soldiers, and we're also proud to host their LST convention in September of 2001 this year. As a Vietnam veteran representing all veterans, and as Mobile's mayor, on behalf of the City Council representing President Clinton Johnson and his council, and all the citizens of the Mobile area, I would like to read the following letters of acknowledgement and proclamation and present a key to this historic crew. To the crew of the USS LS Memorial 325, congratulations on the work you've done to bring the USS LST Memorial 325 back to the United States. I fought in World War II, and I went to France on an LST. Sonny Montgomery, Member of Congress. As chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee and a veteran of 2 wars, I wish to congratulate you on the completion of your exceptional 4,350-mile voyage from Greece to Mobile, Alabama. I find it extremely interesting that the LST 325, which was commissioned on February 1, 1943, and participated in the Sicilian occupation and the invasion of Normandy, will now be available as a living museum for the enjoyment and further education of the general public. Your continued dedication to the legacy of the LST 325 will help foster a better understanding of the sacrifices and bravery of those who fought to preserve freedom in the United States and around the world. With kind regards, I am sincerely John Warner. And on behalf of the citizens of our community in the state of Alabama and all Americans, I'd like to read the following proclamation to these gentlemen upon their feet. Whereas 31 courageous and determined LST veterans have worked for years to acquire a World War II LST, a memorial ship for their comrades, their association, and their country. And whereas the veteran sailors have succeeded in acquiring and reconditioning LST 325, a vessel built in 1942 at the Philadelphia Navy Yard, veteran of invasions of Sicily, Italy, D-Day invasion of Omaha Beach. She came under fire many times in her first 4 years and earned 2 battle stars for World War II service. Whereas the LST 325 was given a second life in 1964 when she served with honor in the Greek Navy. And whereas the LST 325 was acquired by a heroic task force of LST veterans for the USS LST Memorial, Inc., and will be a monument for more than 1,000 ships and untold members of sailors who served our country with valor. Where her first stop upon being returned to the United States by her valiant crew will be Mobile, Alabama, a seafaring city and a very patriotic town where she will be welcomed by legions of shipmates, family, LST and other military veterans, officials, and citizens of Mobile. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Michael C. Dow, on behalf of the City of Mobile and the members of the Mobile City Council, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, January 10, 2001 as U.S. LST 325 Memorial Day in the City of Mobile, and direct that all citizens indulge themselves in the heroic achievement brought by the crew of the LST 325 and participate in the recognition of this historic ship, her gallant crew, and the thousands of LST sailors and other patriotic citizens who inspect her. And Captain Robert Jordan, if you'll step forward, sir, I'd like to present to you a key of the city of Mobile, Alabama, sir. Congratulations on your feat, and we will have you speak in just a moment. Thank you.
I want to thank you very much for the key, and I have one on the ship. It's to the bow doors. That's a private joke of us LST sailors.
Good. And I'd appreciate being the recipient of that for my citizens that I serve, okay? I'd like to introduce Governor Sigmund's representative, Conservation Commissioner Riley Boykin Smith.
Thank you, Mike. It's indeed an honor to be here today as we welcome home LST 325 after years of service to the United States Navy and to the world. And to the crew of World War II veterans who have brought her here. We have all kept up with your voyage through the media, and I can only imagine the feeling that you are experiencing at the culmination of this historic journey. On behalf of Governor Don Sigmund and the state of Alabama, we salute you and we welcome you to Mobile. LST 325 was in the heat of one of the most important events in world history, the invasion of Normandy, an event we must never forget. Our days of service and battle are now memories, and those memories will be preserved as this historic vessel serves as a living piece of our American history. Captain Jordan, on behalf of Governor Sigmund and the state of Alabama, I'm proud to present to you and your crew Alabama state flags and certificates of recognition for years of service in the United States Navy and World War II. I'd like to take just a moment to read. Don Sigmund, Governor, State of Alabama, has awarded this certificate of recognition to Robert T. Jordan. On behalf of the citizens of Alabama, it is my privilege to welcome you to our great state. We are truly honored by your presence. I commend your courageous and noble efforts in bringing home to the United States the LST 325, and I extend to you my deepest gratitude for your service to our nation, the United States Navy. You are truly an American hero. May God continue to bless you in your future endeavors. Given under my hand and the Great Seal of the Office of the Governor, State Capital, the City of Montgomery on the 10th day of January 2001, Don Sigmund, Governor. It is now my pleasure to introduce a very good friend, the Honorable Sonny Callahan, Congressman, 1st District, State of Alabama.
Well, thank you, Commissioner and Captain Jordan, and to the distinguished crew of the LST 325. Welcome to the 1st Congressional District of the United States of Alabama. We're so happy that you selected Mobile as your initial port of entry in bringing this great ship back. And as you can tell by this turnout today, that the people of South Alabama appreciate you not only for what you've done this past month, but for what you represent. And that is the understanding of our people in this district and the appreciation that we have for the many contributions that the military has made throughout the history of this great country. Our purpose today is threefold. One, to welcome you. Two, I've been asked to read a letter from Ambassador Nick Burns, who is the U.S. Ambassador to Greece. And the origination for it, he says, "Dear Captain Jordan and the men of the LST 325, your friends in the U.S. mission in Greece greeted the news of your safe arrival to the United States with joyful relief. I only wish that I could be in Mobile to welcome you home. My heart goes out to all of you, and I salute your remarkable resolve in completing this journey despite the tremendous odds. We were proud to provide every assistance possible while the LST 325 was being restored here in Greece, and I know the Hellenic Navy was also pleased to assist you. My U.S. Navy colleagues in South Bay join me extending to you their congratulations. The men of the LST 325 are truly representative of America's greatest generation. You led us to victory in Europe and in the Pacific in World War II and in Korea. Now you have shown us once again that the American spirit of courage and adventure lives on. We stand to salute your historic and intemperate accomplishments. You make us proud to be Americans. We wish you well as you return home to your family. Sincerely, Nick Burns, Ambassador to Greece.
Thank you.
And the third part of my role here today is to introduce to you the man who probably is as much responsible for having this ship land here today as is this crew and Captain Jordan. He is the man that they came to in the United States Congress in order to get the necessary legislation passed to transfer the title of this ship back from the country of Greece to this great group. This is a man that doesn't need an introduction in the state of Texas because he literally, his fame was there. But in order to save you the time and to give him the time to talk to you, I invite you to turn to page 3 of this memorial document that you have here today. And at your leisure, read the speech that this congressman presented to the House of Representatives on Wednesday, October the 25th in the year 2000. Because the delivery of this speech personifies what this man is all about. A great American, a veteran, a man that we all respect in the United States Congress, and a man worthy almost enough to be called an Alabamian. But now, Congressman Hall, with the new attention that politics is giving to Texas, maybe I'll join with you and I'll share with you a citizenship of the great state of Texas and share with you a citizenship to the great state of Alabama. But let's show him our appreciation for the effort that this one member of Congress made in order to make this day a reality. Congressman Ralph Hall, the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you very much. Sonny, I thank you very much, and I guess I thank you as much for the things you didn't say as for the things you did say. I'm honored to be here, Mayor Dow, Congressman Callahan, Bob, Captain Jarneman, and to all of those who made this day possible, and to my own James Edwards, who was a member of the crew, who kept aggravating me about introducing some kind of legislation. James, how are you, buddy? Legislation that couldn't be passed and acting for something that couldn't take place. The ship's not really out here because it was impossible, but you know it happened. And I'm to present a flag, and I have the flag here. It is the flag that's flown over the Capitol of the United States. It says it's to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of Honorable Ralph M. Hall and Sonny Callahan, flown on October 23rd, year 2000, and of course for MV LST Memorial 325. This flag was really flown, but I'll tell you what Sonny and I do a lot of times when we don't have one that's been flown, we simply put it in our briefcase. When they take off out at National, they fly back over the Capitol, headed back toward home. This one has actually flown. And Sonny talks about the speeches that's in here. You know, there was a famous district attorney in Dallas named Henry Wade. He made a great speech and sent one of his brothers a copy of it. And the brother sent it back and said, "It's a great speech, Henry. Who wrote it for you?" Henry sent him back a note, said, "Glad you enjoyed it. Who read it to you?" So I don't know if I'm going to get to read that speech to you or not. I'm not going to do that. It'd take too long. But I'm a Navy man. I flew for the Navy. I was not a hero. I didn't shoot down any planes. I was introduced one time in Tyler that I was a Navy ace and I'd shot down 6 planes. I ruined 3 American planes, to tell you the truth. But this lady over-introduced me, and I had to correct it. I said, I'm really not a hero, and I didn't shoot down any planes. I was out there, but all the Japanese had been shot down by the time I got there. She stood up in the audience and said, "Didn't you shoot down one single plane?" I said, "Well, no, ma'am, I really didn't." She said, "Did you ever see one?" And I thought, well, I'd give her something. I said, "Yes, I saw one. I saw 0 down about 10,000 feet coming directly toward me." She said, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, I grabbed my manual, looked on page 62, how to do a 180-degree turn. She said, you did? And I said, I did. She said, well, why? I said, well, the war had been over about 2 months. I'm afraid that guy didn't know it. Let me just say a few words here about this great group. I introduced House Resolution 146, suggestion of James Edward of Canton, Texas. And we talk about Texas. I know he's told them about Texas all the way on this trip. They got sick of hearing about Texas. You know, Ensign Gay of Torpedo Squadron 8, the sole survivor of the Battle of Midway, was a Texan, and he once told me, don't ever ask anybody if they're from Texas. If they are, by golly, they'll tell you. And if they're not, there's no reason to embarrass them. We passed this bill. Priscilla Thompson, right here, is the lady who passed the bill. I was willing to give up on 10 different occasions because it looked impossible, but she kept saying, no, we'll find, I've got the Ambassador to Greece on the line, will you talk to him? I have the captain, will you talk to him? And her persistence, I think, is what brings us here today. But we had other help. And let me tell you, though, all of these men who sailed this ship, all of them are proud guys. They're guys that had a resolve. They're guys that had a determination. They raised enough money out of their own left hip pockets. They successfully restored it. They finally sailed her home. I just think it's a great tribute to them and a tribute to the American spirit that we're here today. These are the modern-day Columbuses and Magellans of the Navy. And I think they drew a line in the sand like they did at the Alamo, and they all stepped across. And thanks to Sonny Callahan and to Mayor Dow and to all of your official family who have made us feel so welcome here today, all of the support of you people for opening your arms and opening your hearts, and you cradle in your bosom this ship here. You home port it for us. I think it's a magnificent thing, a magnificent day, and I'm so very proud to be a part of it. Thank you for Sonny Callahan. Thanks for the good work he does. I'm a Democrat. I sit across the aisle from him. Is there a Democrat here? I sit across the aisle from him, but I'll tell you, the aisle is not a division for us. It's a conduit because I talk to him and seek his wisdom. And when I don't vote with Sonny, I usually vote wrong because he's one heck of a guy, and I'm honored to be a part of it. LST 625 is a proud archive that links us with a glorious past at a time in our history when we were protectors of the freedom-loving people all over the world, strong financially, strong geopolitically, stronger than ever before. So to the men who delivered her to us, and to the men who are in this audience who were on her back in June the 6th, 1944 at Omaha Beach. Where are you? Hold up your hands. You were with us last night, I know. We say to you, thank you for what you've done. To Phillips Petroleum, we thank you for their help. And to British Petroleum, with Mike McAdams behind me here, was the first employee I employed in 1980. Just a young man. I saw the potential in him. He's now, I think, the number 3 person in the British Petroleum chain, which is worldwide. They provided the petroleum, the petro that brought us here. God bless British Petroleum and God bless Mike McAdams. It is my pleasure at this time to present this flag to the captain and to tell you that Sonny and I will sign it here. We have the names of each of you who are listed here, and a similar flag will be sent to each one of you to your homes. God bless you. God bless this flag. God bless Vice President Mike McAdams, who will now speak to you. Thank you.
He's a pretty tough act to follow. And I just would disagree with one thing. He's been my hero for over 20 years, and if you knew him the way many of us do in Texas, he'd be your hero too. I just want to give Mr. Hall one more round of applause. Thank you, Congressman Hall, Congressman Callahan, Mayor Dow, distinguished guests, family members. Good morning to you all. On behalf of the 100,000 BP employees around the world, I'm thrilled to be here and share this wonderful day with you, with the sun shining upon us. In my role with BP, I've had the opportunity to attend many events but none have been quite so inspirational as this one has been to me this morning. BP's part in this historic voyage began in late October of last year when Mike and Linda Gunyak of the United States LST Association contacted Dan Waterfield. Dan? Of our Toledo refinery. Theirs was a compelling story. The men of the LST 325 were in Suda Creek, having refitted this magnificent ship for its return to the United States as a ship memorial. The ship was ready, the crew was ready, but one obstacle stood in their way of returning home: fuel. Immediately, the men and women of BP went to work. And through our marine offices in Houston, Lisa Dwyer began working out our logistical issues of obtaining the necessary fuel and getting it to the ship. Others in BP went to work assuring that we could indeed make a gift to this fuel. Within 2 weeks, all parts of the puzzle were in place, and BP delivered 50,000 gallons of marine diesel to the ship from our operations in Piraeus, Greece. And so began this historic voyage. Today we celebrate the homecoming of the LST 325 and her valiant crew. But in a greater sense, we celebrate much more. We celebrate those who had a dream and who worked so diligently to make that dream come to fruition. We celebrate the love and support of their families, of the crew, who have kept the home fires burning for almost 40 days and awaited the ship's arrival. We celebrate the people like Mr. Hall of Texas and others in Congress who sponsored the legislation establishing the LST as a U.S. ship memorial. And finally, we celebrate the spirit of patriotism, the essence of doing the right thing for reasons beyond personal gain or recognition. We, my friends, celebrate that which makes America great. People giving of themselves so that future generations may come to know of the efforts and sacrifices made by those who've gone before them. BP is proud that we could play a small part in this truly great moment in history. To all of you who've helped make this dream a reality, and especially to Captain Robert Dorland and the crew of the LST 325, we say, welcome home, job well done, God bless you all. Captain. And next on the program is Captain Safalinas from the Embassy of Greece. Captain.
Honorable Congressman, Honorable Senator, Honorable Mayor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, remarkable crew. I'm going to add some more words to those that you heard already about this remarkable trip of LST 325, made all the way down from Crete, Greece, here to Mobile, having done and sailing almost 4,325 miles. It is a great honor for me to represent Greece and the Hellenic Navy, which I represent as the Naval Attaché at Embassy of Greece in Washington, and to be also entitled to convey our small country's voice with a big and warm welcome to the LST 325. Welcome back home. I don't believe that I will add much glory to the LST's 325 glorious missions in Omaha, Normandy, in Sicily, and wherever. If I report to you the history and the missions that LST 144 named Syros assumed while it was sailing under the Greek flag, but I will do it. And I can assure you that after LST 325 has been transferred to Greece as LST 144, for 35 continuous years without a retirement, since June 64 up to November 99, she was preserved and maintained respectfully and participated in all national and NATO amphibious exercises. And she was assumed, among others, humanitarian missions, disaster relief missions, even if some other missions for transportation of goods and supplies to isolated Greek islands due to the rough seas in midwinter. And she did it very well. Hellenic Navy supported the huge efforts the crew made in Crete, in the naval base, to repair the ship and to make it ready to sail again, and the result, it is in front of us. The result has been completed with the remarkable braveness of the crew members who brought the ship back home. Respectful crew, all members of it, welcome home from your second home, from Greece. God bless you all, and we assure you that we will remember you, as well as the spiritual Bill Hart, who, even if passed away, and he could not make physically this trip, he made this trip in his mind and with his soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Geb. I'm very partial to captains. We have a few more short presentations, and we'll turn everybody loose. Beth Potes, Mobile JCs, one of the nicest presentations we ever get out of.
On behalf of the Mobile JCs, we would like to present Captain Roland with this plaque on his maiden voyage to Mobile. We're very proud of you and your crew, and we welcome you here to Mobile.
Thank you, Beth. That's one of the prettiest plaques. The maiden voyage plaque goes to every ship that hits here the first time. We have Postmaster James Salter for a special presentation.
Isn't it a glorious day? It certainly makes me proud to be an American, proud to be an Alabamian, and proud to be a Mobilian. I'm very happy and privileged to have this honor to present to the crew a very fitting commemorative stamp print. Captain, if you will please come up and assist me. This is the commemorative stamp print honoring those who served. How fitting for the LST 325 and its crew. Thank you very much, Captain. In addition to the stamp print, we also have a cachet for each of the crew members. The proud voyage of LST 325, which is also available for any of you who have attended this very important occasion. Thank you, Captain.
Those cachets, the post office has a booth right here, and those cachets are for sale down there. They're not that expensive, even though we went up on the price of a stamp. Another really good sponsor besides BP has been Compass Bank. They came in late. They did anything we wanted. And I have here, and their award is going to be spectacular. Mike Granger, president of Compass Bank.
Thank you, Captain. Good morning. As I was sitting here listening to all the presentations, I got a little worried about the brevity of my comments compared to everybody else's. And I thought, you know, if I keep it really brief, it's probably the best chance I'll get for a standing ovation, so how about that? Obviously, this historic trip gives us an opportunity to once again reflect upon the immeasurable contributions and personal sacrifices that men of this crew and hundreds of thousands of men and women that served the United States in World War II made in the name of freedom. We certainly appreciate everything you and your crew have done and are very privileged to have this event here today in Mobile. On behalf of Compass Bank, I'm honored to present a commemorative photograph to each member of the crew. We, as with some of these other presentations, we will have to send these to the home of each one, but we commissioned an aerial photograph of the LST 325. Is that right? Okay. I was confused. The photograph up here, and hopefully as you passed by coming in today, you had a chance to see it. It was taken either on Friday or on Sunday, Captain Pierce. I'm not sure. You confused me there also. But it was as it was coming around Bimini on its final leg of the trip from Greece to Mobile. Captain? It's my privilege to present this to you and to each of your crew members. It will be engraved with today's date, as well as with the name of each crew member on the photo, and give you and your family hopefully something to reflect upon for years to come. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen on the ship, crew members, we salute you, your dedication, and your perseverance in bringing this ship home. Thank you very much. And also, for your first change in civilian clothes, and a nice Compass Bank cap, and an LST commemorative t-shirt for the crew.
Thank you, buddy. I have a presentation here. You know, he has some chief petty officers of the USS Thomas S. Gates. And is there somebody here to present this, or do you expect me to present it? That's a nice plaque, Thomas S. Gates. When you impress the chief's mess on a destroyer, on a CG-51 cruiser, you have done something. The final speaker today is the one you've been waiting for. This program is almost over. Thank you very much. And I have a couple other things to say, but the captain wants to talk.
Boy, what a day. What an adventure. I'm not sure how to start in thanking people. I'll start with where we ended up here in Mobile, Alabama, and the people of Alabama. What a welcome. This couldn't have been greater if we'd have went to Normandy and won the war all single-handedly. It really makes one proud to be an American and get a reception like this. We did not start out to have any glory. We just wanted an LST back. We wanted an LST for us to look at and to enjoy, and for our kids and grandkids. we also wanted to bring about a little bit of recognition to a ship that has deserved very little, has received very little. It not only made the invasion of Normandy and D-Day possible, but it made it a success. It not only took the islands in the Pacific, which could not have been done. The LST served in World War II, Korea, and in Vietnam. Yes, it's slow. You can tell by the 27 days it took for us to get from Gibraltar. And that's not counting the 13 from Athens. And it's a big target. And that's what it stands for, large, slow target. Well, I want to thank the mayor of Mobile, Captain Hal Pierce, who I first contacted, who got a man by the name of Chief Bill Norris, who kept the ball rolling, and I kept talking to him. See, I had a little problem. I went to Greece to get an LST, and I got it, but I didn't have a place to bring it. It's a minor detail in the program. So I thank the mayor, and I thank Hal Pierce and Bill Norris. I thank the congressman from Alabama. Thank the bank here, and I'm probably going to miss half a dozen people here, but I get into thanking the people that brought this LST about. And that has to start with Congressman Ralph Hall and Priscilla Thompson. Because without them, it will never happen. And there's another lady that had a lot to do with this too. She had a lot to do with the BP fuel. She had a lot of email for the ambassador to Greece, Nick Burns, told me, please, can you do something about the email? But Linda Gunjack and her husband Mike, what can I say? One thing, go back to Priscilla Thompson, we had a lot of down days. In fact, right up till we got to Mobile, it was a good day and a bad day with LST 325. When I was down, I just called Priscilla, because Priscilla was up here somewhere. And you can do it, yes you can. I can't thank Priscilla enough. I had never met her, only on the phone. So now. See, where was I? I'd be very, very, very amiss if I did not thank my wife for the sacrifices. I haven't even got to see her today. But I'd also want to thank all the wives and all the families of every member of LST 325. You just can't run off to Greece without some sort of cooperation. not sure I got half the people thanked here that I should thank. If I haven't, I apologize. I'm wrapped up in a lot of emotion here, and I know you want to hear about a story about an LST. It's a long story, but it's not the only story. There's a story with our relationship with the Greek Navy that blossomed into one of the greatest things that's happened to us on this LST. We have friends back in Suda that you just can't believe how much they helped us and how great friends they are. Greek people were just tremendous to us over there. I'll tell you that when we first got there, there wasn't a lot of communication with us. We couldn't speak the language and so forth. But when we left, everybody was saying hi and waving at us. We could walk through the Greek Navy base and never get checked. They would check every Greek sailor that came through. There's another story about a dog named Sue. She was just a stray dog in Suda. We named her Suda and we called her Sue. But she watched our gangway and wouldn't let another dog within 50 feet. There's a story of Nick's restaurant where we all went to eat so many times that kind of thought I should own the place. There's the orange shop. There's the brass shop. I don't know if my bosun mate is listening. The brass shop, we bought a lot of presents and a lot of gifts, and we got to know the people that ran it well. But my chief, I'll never let him negotiate again. This gal happened to be pretty good looking. He took a $30 acre up to 36 and bought it. That's how he negotiated. We had a tremendous relationship with our Navy. We had a tremendous relationship with the embassy in Greece. Nick Burns burned a lot of bridges, so to speak. He helped us a lot. A guy by the name of Dan O'Grady helped us a lot over there. A lot of stories here. We went on to Gibraltar. We couldn't get into a lot of ports. We were not registered. We've got two skull and crossbones flags, but we never flew them. But one of the problems going into port is you have to be registered. So we got turned down a lot of places, but not Gibraltar. The British took us in with open arms. And of course, my executive officer, that's somebody else I got to thank, Mr. Jack Carter. He could have been captain. In fact, I think any other of the 28 guys could have been captain. This was a team effort. It was not rank. It was not who did what or when. It was what abilities you had and what needed to be done, basically. Jack and I had a few really tough jobs. We had to go to the British ship, the Bramble Leaf, and we had to suffer through a happy hour. And then we had to suffer through dinner. Then we had to suffer through after dinner drinks. Jack and I got good at this, and we got to like it. And then we come out, we finally got underway from Gibraltar, 10 days in there. Seemed like an eternity. We come out and what comes across the radio as we're going through the Straits of Gibraltar? Nothing but a Spanish battleship cry. Says, you are going to be escorted by a Spanish battleship through this strait. in your honor. And we looked around, he says, I'm back on your starboard quarter. Mr. Carter and I were on the bridge, and we both looked back, and we could see a small running light back there. It was a Spanish patrol boat, but he thought it was a battleship, and he was escorting us. And we communicated with him, and he said we could come back to any Spanish port in Spain or any island that they own. So we just had a warm reception. We had to stop in Nassau, met with our ambassador there and provincial governor. We had receptions all along the line. Nothing has even come close to this, however. This has been great. And I'd be glad to stand up here and talk about LST 325 for days. I'll tell you what, I haven't been to bed since the night before last at 3 o'clock in the morning when I got up for watch. So you're lucky I'm going to shut this off. Thank you very much.
I imagine Linda's got a place for him to take a nap, don't you think? Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you on the dock. Boy, do you make it easy to have a whale of a show. Boy, are you red, white, and blue. You're kind of my kind of people. Please, we're going to do this again. Come back. I know you're going to love these people, but when somebody like me can stand up here and have you there and them there, it just can't be described. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come back for our next caper. We're going to have one. We're adjourned.
That was Captain Hal Pierce wrapping up the grand ceremony there at the Alabama State Docks. Of course, Pier D2. We heard from Captain Robert Jornlin, who made the journey, a 4,350-mile trip all the way from Greece to the Alabama State Docks, the port of Mobile. Official welcome from Mayor Mike Dow, U.S. Representative Sonny Callahan, U.S. Representative Ralph Hall from Texas, among many others. So it's official now, folks. The LST 325's transatlantic journey has ended at the port of Mobile. Make sure you keep it tuned to WALA TV 10 for the latest. We will be back at 5 o'clock with a complete full report.